Hi everyone, I'm starting off the presentation for Team GYS. So my poster's right here if you can see it. But basically the purpose of our entire study was we took a textile apparel scientific approach to study the functionality of moisture wicking properties of a hot flash garment. The overall goal of the semester was to evaluate whether the claims made by the company that manufactured the garment regarding the moisture wicking properties were manifested through our experimental procedures. We carried them out. They strictly followed AATCC guidelines. So over the course of the semester, various labs and experiments were carried out on our garment. In addition to the information that we were able to collect all semester, our data was compared to 5 other groups who performed the same experiments on different nightgowns. And while all 6 of the nightgowns varied greatly, they all had the same moisture wicking claims and all are considered to be helpful hot flash garments. So our goal as a team was to identify every possible property of our garment's moisture wicking capabilities. And our goal as a class was just to collect our data and compare all of our results across the board. So the garment that we performed our experiment on is a lavender nightgown made by the company GYS. The company is actually well known for producing sleep and loungewear, and it is actually commonly sold on Amazon. So it's 95% viscose from bamboo and 5% spandex. The GYS garment is said to be beneficial to those who may suffer from elevated body temperatures when they sleep, whether it's due to menopause or any other health condition. So our overall aim was to see if the claims made by this company were true. My team carried out a series of 4 moisture tests on it, and they were moisture vapor transmission, vertical and horizontal wicking, water repellency, and absorbency.
Hey guys, now I'm going to go over a brief overview of all the testing methods that we faced and used during our project. So I might have to be out of the frame for you guys to see this, but so right here, we only chose to show the results of the unlaundered, but that is the first method, and that is the moisture vapor transmission test. This method determines the relative rate of the water vapor transmission of textiles. So there was one controlled jar among everyone else's and 3 jars that had our fabric on top of it. The water stayed at a constant temperature of 100 degrees, and so the jars were weighed over a period of 24 hours, which is a lot, and so they were each weighed every 30 minutes to an hour. So after all that was recorded, in order to obtain the final rate, we had to do the calculations. Let's see. Yep. Calculations, and the calculation had to include the water vapor that was transmitted, as well as the jar number, the original weight of the jar, and the final weight of the jar. So that was pretty interesting because over the period of time, they pretty much, I want to say, average loss of weight of, I want to say only like 6 grams. I mean, still, that's super significant, but that was pretty cool for the unlaundered. So the next testing method we are going to talk about is vertical wicking. So that's going to be right here. It's going to be this long one, and it says vertical wicking. So this testing method evaluates the ability of vertically aligned fabric specimens to transport liquid along or through the fabric. So what we did is we had a jar, and then we clipped on the piece of fabric and started timing once it hit the water, and we had to observe once it reached to a certain line, and that's when we would stop the time. And we did this for unlaundered, laundered, softener, and those came out pretty well. This was the most interesting result because our unlaundered fabric was terminated because it reached the 3-minute mark, and the test in the lab told us that if it takes longer than 3 minutes, then it should be terminated. But our laundered and softener absorbed very quickly. So that was pretty weird and interesting at the same time. So, okay, so next we're going to talk about the horizontal wicking, and that's just going to be this one right up here. A a lot of numbers. Okay, so pretty much this method used to evaluate the ability of the horizontal aligned fabric specimens and the transport of liquid along or through them. So we were timing this manually as well, and you can see right there that this is what it pretty much was. You would place a water droplet on there and you would time and measure until it reached one of the corners and stuff like that. But in order to get the most accurate results, we had to do it to the nearest second, not milliseconds, but okay. So, what's the next one? Okay, so the next method we had was wetting. So this method pretty much, sorry, it's right here. It wasn't down there. So this method can determine if the fabric has or does not have water repellent finish. So this is extremely important because for moisture, you want to make sure you have a fabric that's not like absorbs water super quickly, because if you sweat, it gets kind of gross. So you can see in our poster, I can't be, okay. You can see in our poster right here that this was a part of the wetting test, and you can see how there's little water droplets. So for that test, what we had to do is we had to time until those water droplets were like completely absorbed. So it went from that pretty much to that. Not to that, but you get, yeah, what I'm saying. And the cool thing about the wetting is that it actually absorbed a lot quicker. So actually, as when you compare the unlaundered to the vertical wicking test as well for the wetting, you can see that the unlaundered garment does not absorb water that quickly at all, because for the wetting, it was over 2 minutes, just like how vertical wicking was over 3 minutes. So that was very interesting.
Alrighty guys, so I'm going to be finishing us off and going over why we got some of the results that we did. And I'm really going to be focusing on the fabric structure and what makes up the garment that we have been testing. So as we said before, we have a 95% viscose from bamboo and a 5% spandex garment. And there's actually another company who has the exact same makeup as we do. So it's really interesting to see how our results compare. Bamboo, if you don't know, is naturally a water wicking material, and all viscose from bamboo is just a regenerated bamboo. So you can see the Team Yala right here on the end on the right has the exact same makeup, and our results are pretty similar. The only difference that there probably was the shape and the structure of their fabric compared to ours, because the properties of viscose solely depends on the shape and the structure of it. So here's our structure. As you can see, it's woven-like, which also helps prevent the water transferring throughout the rest of the garment. So as Sterling mentioned earlier, she's noticed that in the unlaundered garments, in the wicking test and in the wetting test, that they took longer to absorb water. And actually in the wicking test, the unlaundered garment was actually terminated because it exceeded the 3 minutes. From these tests, we've actually concluded that there was a finish added to the fabric to aid in moisture management, which makes sense since GYS does advertise this garment to help with those that might suffer from night sweats or hot flashes while they're sleeping. However, we also came to the conclusion that GYS did manufacture these garments with a chemical finish over it to aid in this moisture wicking. This result is the same for all of the other teams as well. The unlaundered garment had stronger moisture wicking properties than the laundered and the softener garment. So for potential consumers, potential buyers, that's something that they want to keep in mind whenever they're thinking about purchasing this garment. At first, it'll be very strong. It'll be very useful whenever you're sleeping at night to prevent those sweats. But as you launder this garment, the properties will decline and they won't be as strong as they used to be. Overall, I think it's a wonderful garment to purchase. It's soft. It doesn't stretch when it's laundered. And the moisture wicking properties will last you quite a while. Also, on behalf of Michaela and Sterling, and my name is Serena, I wanted to say thank you for watching our video, and I hope you enjoyed it.